this says simplify and express your answer in the form a plus bi. So now these problems, we have to use a different property. So anytime I see a square root of a negative number here, I write, because it's equivalent to, I square root whatever the number is. So this negative here, I treat as a -1. Now again, it's not anything that's been proven yet. But when I see this square root of -9, I write it as I square root 9. So now from here, I can take the square root of a +9. Now keep in mind here that it doesn't work under here because there's no number times itself that's going to give me a -9. So if I think of 3 times 3, those are both positive, so it's going to be a +9. And that's why that doesn't work. And if I put a negative on both of those, a negative times a negative is positive, and it's not negative. So that's why it doesn't work any other way here. I have to treat it as the imaginary right away. So then my final answer here is going to be 3i. Now notice I actually put the number first, and that's just kind of the norm of how we express those numbers, complex numbers in general. You always put the coefficient first and then the I. Okay, for this next one now, we're just going to do the same thing. So square root of -81 is actually I square root 81. And that's going to be times, since I don't see anything here, it means multiplication. And then this is going to be I square root 16. So from here, this is really 9i, because the square root of 81 is 9. And it's going to be times, so square root of 16 is 4. So this is going to be 4i. So this actually gives me 36i squared. And we know I squared is equal to -1. So this is really -36. And that's the final. If you get it any other way, it will be wrong. So make sure you represent it this way, with your first step being I square root 81, I square root 16. If you don't put that step in, it's wrong. Okay, for the next one here. For this one here, I have to FOIL this out first, so that's kind of a bummer, but shows up in the homework, so I'm going to run through it with you. So that's going to be 4 times 4, which is 16. So this is 16i, and then that's -12. And then this is +12i. I realized in this problem I had a typo, and the reason why I knew that is because I ended up with a 16i and a 12i, which means I'm going to end up with an I underneath the square root. So I'm going to make my modification, and it should have been 3 plus 4i. So I'm going to fix this problem, kind of take it backwards. Okay, so I'm going to take those out. Okay, so I had to fix that. I apologize for that. So anyways, so now I'm going to get 3 times 4, which is 12i, and then 3 times -3, which is -9, and then 4i times 4i would be +16i squared, and then the last one is going to be -12i. Now, if I had an I under the square root, I probably ran into a problem there. So you won't see these in this class. So that's why I knew right away I made a mistake. So now we're just going to simplify this. Okay, so the 12i -12i gives me 0. That's what I needed to see. I didn't see that with the other problem I put up there. So then this is going to be 9 negative. And then this is going to be 16i squared, which means I squared is -1. So this is actually going to be -16. And then this equals square root of -25. Now this is just one way to kind of put everything together in a problem dealing with these complex numbers in terms of dealing with the square root of -1 idea. So now the square root of -25 is going to be I square root 25. And that equals 5i. So there's our answer.